You have a formal forum here, yes. Okay, he's putting it together. Okay, yeah, with Terry.
Yes, I'm calling the meeting to order and welcome all our guests. We will start with the pledge of allegiance. And one God, indigenous, liberty, justice for all. Following the roll. Nikki.
Present.
Merritt. Here. Steve. Here. Dave. Here. Okay, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? And we're gonna change some of them. Is that correct?
Yeah, one modification. The firm asked for a review of the credit card statements, and that should properly be done under old business, so we'll move it to 4.2. Is that okay? Pardon?
Well, we have him up top.
Well, that's what I'm saying is, if you want to discuss it and have any action on it, it needs to be an agenda item down under the old business.
Oh.
Okay? Okay.
I wanted to discuss something too.
You have an addition to the agenda,
I do.
all right?
I want to compare credit card statements, which after 8 months we finally got, to the transaction list posted on the website.
Isn't that what Dave is
Is that what
wanting to
Dave-
do?
Credit card review,
I
does
want
that
to also.
cover it? Does that cover it?
What company?
Credit card review,
Yeah, I think so.
okay,
You can call it that, comparison to transaction list.
It's the same thing. Okay.
anything else?
No.
Are there any conflicts of interest of the board related to any of the agenda items? No? Then we'll move on to approval of the February 27th meeting minutes, which were posted on the website.
I would request that the minutes be amended to note that Director Green left the meeting early and was not, or present at the executive session.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
He was present,
louder over there and bring them closer.
he was present for this meeting.
He was not at the executive session when
That
we.
was part of the executive minutes.
Yeah,
That's,
No, it should be noted that he wasn't here. He left the meeting early.
okay, before the meeting,
Before the
our
meeting
regular
was
meeting
adjourned.
was adjourned.
Correct.
Okay.
oh, I got you.
What's he asking?
That Steve left before the board meeting, the last month board meeting was adjourned. Just
The
making a note
executive
that he
session.
had left before the board meeting, but we come back into the board
We
meeting.
come back in and re-adjourn, yes.
Yes,
Okay, I'll be happy to revise that.
Thank you.
okay. Looking for a motion to accept,
I move to approve the minutes, pending the amendment as needed.
okay, a second? I'll second it,
Okay,
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
aye.
opposed?
Hey,
Okay, treasurer's report, oops, I had my notes up a second ago. We are looking at, treasurer's report, no notable expenditures this past month. Nothing to note that was out of the ordinary. We're still tracking on with our spending according to what our outlay is. Our accounts are sitting at $355,000. So we're pretty healthy on that account. And that's basically all I would say at this point. So we're pretty solid on our accounts and we're continuing to do our work as we should. Any questions? Transactions list, statement of accounts. It's all posted online. All right, thank you.
Chief's report, Kyle.
So the chief's report is posted online, so I'm gonna try to keep it as concise as possible. I know we kind of go a little long sometimes on these, but The Jeffcom, our communications center, did finally move all their operations into their new building off of Indiana and Golden. They experienced a power issue several weeks after the transition, which caused a communication disruption that lasted less than 12 hours. And was remedied. We did not have any negative impact on the district, or negative impact on our ability to perform for call service during that time. Both Chief Enright and myself attended the Jefferson County Chiefs meeting, which is a reconvening of all of the Jefferson County Chiefs together, which will hopefully be a quarterly meeting moving forward in order for us to all make sure that the county chiefs are working together on the same page on some topics. Golden Gate Fire has also now moved officially from our previous dispatch center for wildland into Pueblo. With that, we had to switch a bunch of our wildland agreements that we renew every year to reflect that change, and that has been done. We have several pieces of legislation that are up in the 2025 session that would influence the district. We have more now than we did the previous board meeting. There are 6 of them. I think there was a new one that was introduced a couple days ago. I'm not gonna review each one of them. I do believe they are all currently active. And they're posted on the chief's minutes or chief's report for folks if they want to do any further digging by going to the state legislature website. Excuse me.
Is that 6th one the one that was, sponsored by Brianna Titone?
No, there was that's the risk model used for insurance policies. That is a newer one.
Okay.
But there's another one that I was just made aware of as well.
Okay.
Administration, the website's completely functional, and it's ready for additional review. It is available for review at the address that's listed in the chief's report. It's goldengatefire.colorado.gov. However, the website is still in its draft form. It is not the official website of Golden Gate Fire Protection District. As a disclaimer, it is only for viewing as a draft. After consultation with the State Internet Portal Authority through the state of Colorado, we discovered that we needed to make some additional changes to ensure that we're in full ADA compliance by July 1st. This is very important. There was legislation that was passed last year, the year before, requiring all government websites meeting special accessibility requirements, most specifically about a reader, a screen reader, and how it navigates through a website. And there are a lot of things that we had to change. It's one of the main reasons that spurred us to go from our old website to the new website, because we needed it to be fully within ADA compliance. There are some additional things that we have to do to make sure that we're in compliance by July 1st. And we're expecting to be fully transitioned by June 1st. That will include moving over whatever previous documents we have on our current website that are appropriate for our new website to be moved. So that's working really well, and it is very beautiful for people to see it and take a look at. As far as building out the website itself, I think there's only about 5% left. There's some pictures that need to be changed and some other documentation that transitioned from an old website to the new website that is out of date that we're trying to remove. And then make sure that that's updated. So that's all that's really left. Everything else is on there, and it's awesome. Grant updates. So the SIPA grant, as we talked about, we're nearing that project completion. I am very pleased to share that we did find out this morning that we did receive the DFPC, or no, it was a couple days ago, the DFPC Firefighter Safety and Disease Grant for 2025. It is a $20,000 grant, in which we were awarded 30 sets of TechGen PPE, which is for wildland and EMS and extrication. The gear is scheduled for fitting for Golden Gate firefighters in April, middle of April. We've continued with our standards, or for operations, continued with our standard slow start to the year. We've got 10 calls to date. Within those 10 calls, though, we've had some pretty significant ones that have had good outcomes by our folks and good turnout. Bed storage units for Rescue 82 and Chief 81 vehicle have been delivered. The Rescue 82 unit was installed and outfitted. If you're interested in seeing that unit, there is now a YouTube video that is now posted on our YouTube or our Facebook channel, YouTube channel, and has been shared, I think, quite a few places throughout the community already. It's very cool to see that unit being fully in service. Huge thank you to the auxiliary who funded those units and to firefighter McDaniel and firefighter Ellison for heading that project up. We have decided to move forward with in-district installation of the emergency vehicle equipment that will go on the new upfit for the UTVs. As well as the rest of the upfit for the UTVs. The reason why we are not going with a third-party installer, which was our original intention, is that they are backlogged up to over a year at this point. And we need those units to go in service by summer's commencement. So we are working on bringing them online within the district with some of the in-district knowledge that we have with some of our tertiary expertise outside of being firefighters. Their target date for them to go online for response is May 1st. Preceding the sale of the previous UTV, hold on, that's actually a typo. Of important note, so both the UTV and the trailer are both posted. The UTV 81 does not include the pump package and skid that was originally mounted on that UTV. We intend to retrofit that skid unit, which is essentially a small pump with a tank, and some hose storage and the ability to carry things in and out. We're gonna retrofit it onto a trailer that can be carried by one of the small utility vehicles as well as towed by the UTVs themselves. So if we did need to take a wildland firefighting apparatus, so to speak, into the backcountry, back into a park, we would be able to tow it on a trailer safely with 5 firefighters in a utility vehicle and have them be separated. So we're excited to have that new use for that equipment. The items are both up for public bidding. It is sealed. They will be up from March 26th to April 23rd at 5 p.m. Both items will be available for in-person inspection on April 9th from 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at Station 81. The bid listings are available on our website and social media. We did find out that Facebook Marketplace would not let us post as an entity, so they are posted on Craigslist instead. Yeah, that was an interesting thing for us to learn. Let's see here. After very extensive research over the last few months into our operational connectivity program, we have 2 quotes which have been attached to the chief's report for contracts for consideration for this connectivity program. This update is important for us. Excuse me. It has become increasingly clear over the last several months that the lack of nodes in CAD connectivity, as well as AVL, which is automatic vehicle location, have become an issue for our situational awareness for our crews. It was highlighted again in a call that occurred earlier this week. The quotes for service are included in the chief's report for consideration and approval. And at this point, I'm going to turn this over to Chief Enright to further speak about the 2 quotes, unless we want to wait for the end for that.
I meant to introduce Assistant Chief Enright to anyone in the room that may not be familiar. Sorry, the star of the little show with the YouTube, you know, I'm sure you got an instant following.
That's right.
So, Madam President, would you prefer that we review the Chief Enright's additional report regarding this when we come to the spending authorization request, or would you like to review it at this point?
What do you think?
Probably better when we want to.
Do the authorization?
Yeah.
Okay, we will wait for that. Okay. Personnel, operational staff of 28 with 3 support staff. We have 1 firefighter that's out on extended medical leave. Another firefighter that is now out on active duty military leave through the end of the year, maybe mid-fall. Training, probationary firefighter Mata continues to do very, very well at EMT school. Probationary firefighter Delmau, started firefighter 1 academy on March 1st. I did check in with him yesterday and he's doing very well. They're running through hazmat. And he is learning an awful lot and studying an awful lot, it sounds like, to make sure he's being successful. Lieutenant Phillips completed his fire instructor 1 class, and will be doing his testing for that certification, coming up in the next several weeks. Firefighter and chaplain Meyer completed several courses related to the chaplain position, as well as some psychological first aid classes to help him in his role as chaplain for the district. All the certifications for the lateral probationary firefighters have officially been transferred to TFPC if they were certifications that were from out of state. So they have to be migrated from out of state to the state through a review process, and that's all been completed. And they've also now been transferred to Golden Gate Fire. So now they're associated with Golden Gate Fire. It's a kind of a two-step process, and now we're all set up the way we need to be. The CWPP. The CWPP update continues to move forward very smoothly. Of a very important note, if you did not know, next Monday, March 31st, from 6 to 8 p.m. here at the Grange, we'll be having a community CWPP workshop. All are encouraged to attend and learn more about the CWPP update, as well as provide critical input and information that will be used in the final plan. With that, we are gonna go into the spending authorization requests and chief's report, that require action. There's two portions to this. I'm gonna read them before I let Chief Enright kind of go into further detail about this and the quotes and why we need them. The first is authorization for the execution of either a FirstNet or T-Mobile contract as presented, including cellular services and non-cellular enabled tablets. The second is for authorization for the execution and implementation of a central square field CAD integration on the non-cellular enabled tablets as referenced in authorization number 1. With that, I'll turn this over to Chief Enright.
Thank you. First and foremost, good evening. Thank you for taking the time to consider this proposal that we're putting forward. After about a year and a half of kind of detailed and diligent consideration of each of the different options that we have to deliver cellular connectivity, we found ourselves at a logical conclusion point where we can talk about what is recommended and what I advise is the path forward for best serving our communication needs. Provide some background on what this technology does beyond a portable radio. Portable radios are good for some things. You can have a conversation pretty effectively using a radio. You can't navigate with it. The incident location doesn't automatically populate from the dispatcher's information. You can't backhaul information to the dispatching center easily and directly using the radio. By using an LTE cellular connected tablet system, this gives us the ability to provide two-way near continuous data and text communication with our dispatching center, partner units en route, including law enforcement officers, and our other responders responding to incidents in field. So what this is doing is taking us from a mid-2000s kind of technology posture to today's fully capable technology to both maintain situational awareness for our firefighters, what we're going through, how, why, be able to communicate with dispatchers and other units, and then be able to relay that information across the fire ground to resources out and about. This integrates on top of the Colorado Team Awareness Kit or COTAC program. So what we're looking at are 9 Android tablets, full kind of standard Android tablets, relatively similar to this one. I think we're getting newer and more durable ones. This one's had a couple drops. I'm just clumsy with it. 9 tablets that'll run ATAK, the Android Team Awareness Kit, that fully connects in with the Colorado Team Awareness Kit, allowing us to pull down situational awareness from surveillance aircraft, reconnaissance aircraft, from other resources on the ground. All of those full suite mapping tools are all available to us that way. With the central square CAD connectivity, we can then communicate directly with the dispatching center. We can indicate unit status on the ground. They can communicate information that can't necessarily be aired over the radio, such as gate codes, any kind of access information that we don't want available on a public air channel, such as if you have a code to get into your house, that's in the notes sometimes. We can get to that without having to make a phone call to the dispatching center or without having to page it out using kind of the secondary or tertiary means. So what we're doing is getting basically where we need to be for fully connected and fully successful operations from a data and connectivity perspective. One call to highlight this, this took place over the weekend. where an individual decided to go camping at Sourdough Campground or at Sawmill Campground up in White Ranch Open Space. This individual was under-equipped, had a tent and some sleeping bags that weren't terribly good. It was pretty windy on Saturday night. His tent failed in the wind. So him and his 4 children called 911 to request assistance to get out. We got toned to as hypothermia, which is probably an appropriate dispatch message to be attached to. We were only able to figure out the background of what was going on, why we needed law enforcement backup, and to make sure that we caravanned in with law enforcement, only by the fact that I stayed home, logged into my computer, was able to use a back access to the CAD tablet system and watch the law enforcement chatter as they're communicating with their dispatching center and able to advise our resources using the radio. Without CAD tablet accessibility like that, our resources may have gone blind into what luckily was not a terribly dangerous situation, but what in that park and really in other parts of the district have been. We have parties that are using various substances. We have parties that may be armed, parties that are evading law enforcement. If we just get dispatched to that without any additional information, we risk sending our firefighters forward and into harm's way without this kind of information to keep them safe. That's the why. The what. 9 tablets. Looked at 2 different networks. Started with FirstNet. FirstNet exists as a government authority sponsored by the United States Federal Communications Commission to be a standalone kind of add-on network that supplements the cellular system that's dedicated for first responders and other public safety professionals. Did an evaluation with FirstNet. This is where we had temporary licenses on our phones. We're able to explore the district, verify connectivity, and see that we had this connectivity throughout a majority of the district. We proof tested it over the course of several months. Many of our firefighters made the move to FirstNet independently and have continued to report successful connectivity throughout areas of the district they never saw connectivity before. The other platform is T-Mobile. T-Mobile offers a similar platform, but as a commercial wireless offering, similar to how you enter into a business contract with them for business cell phone providers. They offer some degree of priority, some degree of preemption, and some degree of that kind of enhanced mission critical connectivity. But they don't have the same contractual mandate that the FirstNet authority, i.e. AT&T, delivering the FirstNet service. For those reasons, with the prices being effectively the same between the 2 providers, it's my recommendation to proceed with FirstNet. FirstNet seems to be the best solution for us. It provides maximum connectivity, it provides preemption and that kind of always available priority service for our providers without any additional steps, without any additional effort. With that, I'm ready for questions at your discretion.
Do you mind if I ask, we're gonna make two additions. The first addition is why 9? Not why we're requesting 9 tablets and 9 licenses. The reason is for the tablets will be each individually issued to the 3 chief officers, so myself, Chief Enright, and Chief Brill, as well as the 3 lieutenants for situational awareness 24/7, 365. And then we will also have cell-enabled tablet available at each station for responding officer or for responding firefighters to put in the first dispatch apparatus out of each station. So that's the reason. Additional software that will be available on this tablet is our EMS and fire reporting. So our ESO suite that you have heard a little bit about during these reports will also be available on this tablet. There is the ability, if we are within cell range, where we can start an EMS report and then actually share it with our EMS responding partners. And it allows us to have better connectivity and also follow a patient through the entirety of the system. But the way that we have our ESO set up right now, based off of the computer, and people going back and not being able to fill things out on scene, the connectivity doesn't quite work that way with our EMS partners. Again, so it allows our officers to be able to do all their documentation on an fire department issued tablet, wherever they may be when an incident occurs. So it does a whole host of things for us. Those are the two things I had.
Yeah, and with that, Madam Chair,
Yes, you have two things here, two authorization for the executive implementation. Did you cover both of them?
that's correct. So the first piece is the cellular connectivity through FirstNet.
Okay,
That's the recommended provider, in prices as listed.
Right.
Second component is the Central Square licenses. That's how we integrate with the CAD system at Jeff.
yeah, okay.
And for clarification, Madam Chair, we have, the two or the other software that we have mentioned is either free through the state, or is something that we already set up.
Sounds wonderful.
I've got a question.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Preemption.
Yeah.
Use that word a lot.
Yes.
Explain.
So the cellular network, the way it's designed, the way AT&T put it together, works most of the time when you have an average number of people occupying each set. And when they're using an average amount of data. So right now, the data consumption of this room is relatively low. There's the data of the computers talking back and sending the Zoom call back. Maybe someone's texting. That's not a lot of data. When we have a major incident, so think about everyone taking their cell phone out and going live on Facebook or TikTok or whatever, things we can't control.
Think about 9/11, nobody could make phone calls.
Exactly, and it's even worse now,
Yeah.
where everyone's deciding they need to be a live reporter with video on the scene of whatever wildfire that they find themselves on. That overwhelms, congests, and denies cellular connectivity to basically whoever didn't start connecting first. So with FirstNet, band 14 is an isolated band of the cell network that's only available to qualified users. So the first responders, our proposed tablets in this case, would be able to tie into that band, and they have their own channel. They're not congested at all by the other folks using the network. Additionally, there's an inherent traffic preemption that's present. So if everyone else is starting to lose the ability to connect to the internet, our mobile devices and our connectivity to our dispatching center that is critical for our safety is there and will supersede all of that other traffic on the network.
You've got 14, you have band 14.
Yes,
So preemption, again, I asked why you bother to talk about it if you already had sole access, emergency services have sole access to band 14.
it's a either and both case where you have that guaranteed mission critical, high capability combined platform.
So 14 is available for your use.
So just something, Steve, just for clarification, band 14 is not available unless you are on a plan that is tied to FirstNet.
Okay, well, that's what you're asking for, so.
Yes,
Is that
I didn't hear any costs, but I also have some other questions.
yeah, the costs are as printed in the request memo.
They've been posted,
Well, I guess I don't have the request, what was that like?
it's been posted online for.
2 days ago.
Posted online that nobody advised me it was posted online, now where would I go look for it?
GoldenGateFire.org.
Yeah, but I do look at the website, but I didn't know it was posted. Did you know it was posted, Dave?
I just seen the ATV and the trailer posted.
No, I didn't know it was posted, so maybe, can I please see a copy of it?
It's,
I do believe it actually was emailed.
your inability to prepare for meetings.
Oh,
Anybody else, it's
Your inability to speak. That'd be nice.
It's not exactly in order.
Okay, so the subscription then, how much is the subscription per month and the licensing?
A monthly data plan for each tablet is $39.99, no taxes.
9 times 39.
Yeah, that comes out to $439.89 a month.
Licensing?
No licensing for the tablets or other devices.
I heard you
The
talk about-
Central Square license, the CAD connectivity, line 2, is $120 each on an annual basis for a total of $1,080 a year.
That was for what?
That is for our CAD connectivity to the dispatching center.
$1,040.
$1,080 per year.
above and beyond the 9 times 40 plus tax.
Correct.
No tax.
So 9 times 40 a month
Correct, $439.89.
without tax.
There is no tax.
It's no tax.
I just was told there was tax, so.
There is no tax.
Okay, 940 plus tax, somebody said that.
That is not
allowed
tax.
to say without tax.
Okay, that means that there is no tax, not that the tax is gonna be added.
Correct, no
Okay,
tax.
it's being interpreted both ways. So how many of these things you can't do on the radio? I heard you talk about them, but.
I would ask,
I'm not asking.
I would ask chiefs, you literally just walked us through what we can, why,
I know, but
what's
it's
different from
different.
this. I don't think it's in anybody's interest to just have to repeat yourself.
Point of order.
And that's,
Yeah, point of order.
Nippy is speaking.
Nifty's in a row.
No.
Well, he interrupts us with point of order, I, that's super point of order.
What is your point of order? Nippy was asking what's making a statement.
What's the cost for the tablets? Do you have to buy those?
Tablets are, if we buy on a 3-year commitment, they are 99 cents each.
3-year payment plan?
No, a 3-year commitment. We sign a commitment with FirstNet, then the tablets cost 99 cents a piece.
Oh, I see 3 with the subscription.
That's correct. Standard promotional pricing through, well, AT&T.
So what's the total cost? You must have it figured out. Rather than me trying to figure it out right now.
The total cost for the tablet implementation is $439.89 a month, plus a little bit less than $9 to get started. And then for Central Square, it's $1,080 a year, and then there's a one-time setup fee of $1,560. Since these are 2 requests, they're not combined together.
and you don't do the Central Square unless you have.
That's correct. We could, but it's not advisable.
What's that setup fee again?
$1,560.00.
That's one time fee.
Correct.
Essentially allows them to set up the backside of the dispatch and connectivity.
So what I'm seeing here is about $6,360 a year.
I don't know how you got that.
This year, including the setup fee, it might be similar or around that, but the setup fee is a one time, so it should drop down to less than.
Right.
Combined with less than. I think it's a less than $5,000.
So let's see, 9 times. So we did it right, so we did it quick.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
I would, I had it written down there, but I don't have it in front of me now. So you field tested both, providers.
We were not able to field test T-Mobile.
So that's my problem is how do you know that it doesn't work as well?
So what we have is confidence that they'll perform similarly.
Okay,
We have several firefighters who have T-Mobile subscriptions, as well as Jefferson County Sheriff's Office uses T-Mobile. So they have pretty good connectivity on the T-Mobile network. To get technical about it, T-Mobile has some bandwidth, or they have frequencies that go lower. So they have better propagation in the mountains than Verizon, Sprint, AT&T, et cetera. This was, I think, because they bought Nextel that had some kind of vague LMR stuff. What it means is they have uniquely better propagation than other providers. So with their existing tower infrastructure, they added a tower near the Justice Center in Gilpin County. They have a tower basically at the Jefferson County shops, as well as a few others in Foothills District and up in Coal Creek. The coverage from what's been mapped and calculated, we have confidence mirrors enough what FirstNet is providing. FirstNet is where we have the confidence. We tested that and can state that it meets our needs.
Their sizes are similar.
There's some other changes, or there's some other addendums to that, based off the fact that FirstNet is actually a government mandated, or a government, not mandated, but mandated contract. There are some ancillary services that come with that. For example, if we were to ever have a large wildland fire incident, we can request a mobile, essentially it's a tower on wheels.
Yeah, I read that.
And things like that are part of this plan, and it would allow us to be able to better have communications in a very, especially in a very large emergency.
So if you had someplace where you weren't getting connectivity, you could tow this thing in and it would give it to you.
Correct, we just make a phone call, I think dispatch makes a phone call, and it shows up and it has to be here within a certain time frame.
Yeah, it is 14 hours, but the average deployment time is less than 6. So the front range,
So I just did some multiplications, 5,400 a year,
thank you,
right?
sounds correct.
And then there's the first year's extra 1,500.
Correct.
Why does Jeffco Sheriffs use T-Mobile?
I don't know. I wasn't able to get a satisfactory answer in kind of ad hoc conversation with Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. I suspect since they have so many users, it becomes a quantity discount question versus FirstNet is functionally fixed pricing. We're paying the same as Golden and West Metro and whomever is using FirstNet.
So they might have bid it out or something.
That's my suspicion, but I can't confirm that. I don't know for sure.
Is anyone else using Kotak as their partners
Yes.
up here?
At this point, Kotak is starting to roll out on not just a county, but like a statewide basis.
Okay.
It's
Timberline on it, West Metro.
pretty much at this point, and even Jefferson County Communications, so Jeffcom is starting to work on Kotak integrations on their own level. So it is, Kotak is really going to be one of the major things that shapes how we communicate or even operate, especially on wildland fires and backcountry rescues. And for the next decade, is what it looks like. It's really shaping that whole landscape.
I spent 2 hours at Jeff Cobb this week talking with them about it.
What happens when a tablet breaks? Are they ruggedized? Like, do we have an assurance on plan or something like that?
We can get both cases and insurance on them, and we're looking at Galaxy A9, 5 with 5G, so the replacement cost is still cheaper than radio.
I have a question. Does T-Mobile have the band 14 authorization?
No, they do not, that is
Okay.
exclusive to FirstNet.
Given that they don't have that authorized band to use, and they're using their own cellular infrastructure, and they don't have the mobile backup capability that FirstNet has, it seems like a no-brainer. Independent of the actual coverage measurements that you might make, the government authorized this as a result of 9/11. So it is federally authorized. AT&T ended up getting sole sourced into it. They're there, it's their game. And from a performance point of view, it seems like clearly the right way to go. And given you don't have a price difference, the discriminator is they have the band and they have the mobile access to serve as a backup tower capability, so.
I'll highlight, T-Mobile does provide that COW connectivity
The
and
backup.
that COW availability. It's not guaranteed though, and it's not subject to a contractual mandate.
Right.
So they've got nice pictures of cool ruggedized trucks
Competitive.
and cell towers,
And
but
they're-
as does Verizon and everyone else.
Didn't check.
It is.
Chief, what did I know we talked about this in budget committee. Correct. We don't have a budget.
So we have. Let's see.
I've got 4,500 for communication maintenance, and then there's the dispatch fees, and then there's prevention of public education.
So based off of our spend last year on software, the CAD connectivity or the field ops implementation does fall within the budget of software.
Which line of software is that 600?
One moment, I'm pulling up the budget for that, so I can pull it up. It is. Is at the very bottom of, 600 section, the final, so the six, yeah, correct,
10,000?
correct.
But that's just for the software,
That
correct?
is just for the central square.
So the central square.
The additional, or the cost for the CAD connectivity, or for the tablets themselves. There was something that we did, I do believe we did put it into the budget, I'm trying to just.
Where's ESO? Is that under,
That's under software.
and was that a one-time payment of 1,000 or 5,000, or is it like?
Yeah, every year we pay, we've already paid it for
We
1
paid
year. Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
where I'm going with this is, if we're gonna do this, the money has to come from somewhere.
correct.
And our contingency is only 10 grand, and I'm already asking for more money for the audit than we do. So, I mean, what are we cutting, or did we allocate enough somewhere else is basically it.
So we have. One moment as I'm kind of pull through this. We do have, technically it's not a capital,
It's not coming out of gap.
capital, yeah. We did have communications in there.
Was the 4,500 budgeted 66501 line item not intended for this?
When we discussed, I think it was saying that that would be a possibility for communications and maintenance. That would be the most likely place where this would come out.
Yeah, I tried to put as much in there as I could for the purposes of entertaining contact, but this isn't gonna cover that. It'll be close.
With the $10,000 contingency, we're pulling out for the audit, correct?
Well, so audit, I had budgeted, we had budgeted where did that go?
5,000.
5,000. And now I'm asking to be authorized up to 15,000.
Okay.
Might not be that much, but.
And we have a 6,000, it says 6,000 here on the budget for.
We have 6,000 for the audit.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, asking for 9. We had 5,000 carried for like 3 years in a row, and then I was like, there's no way it's gonna be 5,000, we bumped it up to 6. And 6 is not gonna cover it, so.
8 was the lowest.
8 was the lowest we got.
The one thing that I think we can consider looking at doing as far as if we wanted to. And we are currently still paying for landline communications to both stations.
You told me there's a reason to do that.
There, as a backup,
Yes.
correct. That would be the only other thing that I could think of where we could. My preference is to leave it as a backup in case other communications are not currently functioning. At this point, the other option would be for us to go with a smaller allocation. Or a smaller scale implementation and try to then scale it up as we grow the program, maybe in 2026. If that would be a reasonable ask.
Yeah, it's absolutely scalable. I think the recommended scaling I do is go from 9 to 6. So we do, basically the stations would then have a tablet, and then I don't need one, I've got one. The other component is, yeah,
But he would still need the license for,
we would just,
that would still say.
yeah, so the CAD connectivity license would still, that cost would still be there. Yeah, we can scale the number down as needed. The other add-on that is in these costs, there are 2, what we're accounting for as well as 2 cell plans to convert the existing Google Voice numbers that we have associated to FirstNet and then be a second SIM card. We can easily remove those 2 at $40 a month cell plans. That's actually the recommended cut I'd make first. Because.
So that's your cell phone and your cell phone?
And we're currently we already pay for district numbers to go through Google Voice. So we'll be replacing that. It's not quite a dollar for dollar match, it's very close.
So would you be using your tablet as your phone?
No, we go through the, it's
Yeah.
essentially taking the phone numbers that are associated with Google Voice, not paying for Google Voice anymore, and moving them over onto this plan.
But we're not saving $40 there.
Not in net, you're probably saving around $30, maybe 20, or probably $20 per line. Cause are they $20 per line or $40?
I'm pulling up the billing on Google right now to make sure.
Per line per month.
Per line per month.
Yes.
That doesn't get us very close.
Can I ask a question
Yes, ma'am.
operationally? Carl Rod, everyone else in the room, how, when you guys utilize these in the vehicles and you have them with you, are they just carry and go tablets? Are you guys future planning of installing them in the vehicles? Like what does that look like for future state, or are they really just grab and go, take where you need them? Is that the plan?
At this point,
They're fully capable as grab and go,
Yeah.
but obviously, like your phone and your car now, it's sufficiently portable. What we see with our kind of urban other agencies, they're running Windows tablets with basically a docking station
Yeah.
in the cab of their rigs. That's cumbersome and really, really expensive. So this is instead we get an Android tablet that does all the same things.
Oh.
And then when you hike in with it or you walk into a patient's house, you can then use driver's license scanner or whatever other functionality you need.
the other thing that's important about that is that the way that we operate is by firefighters responding to each station, and we're not they're not gonna take the same truck every time. So by having a station or different apparatus that may go be a first out of each station for a certain call type, they still may need the tablet for that first out vehicle. So having them dedicated into one vehicle versus another is not an operational decision that really benefits us. We want them to be able to go into anything.
Agreed. Follow up to that, just so I better understand, everyone's getting sent off to the station, right? They go pick up the tablet. I know Chief, you have your own vehicle, so obviously you would come. What does that look like for the lieutenants? Are they all also going to the stations when they're dispatched?
Correct.
So but is lieutenant staying together in the unit, or are they going in separate, like, explain that to me. Like, are we all going in together in a single one or two vehicles from each station? Or are we, because if we're all in one truck, right, and we all have our own operational tablets, I know from home 24/7, that's a different story. But when we're on call, what does that look like for you guys?
It depends on the size of the incident. If we are, for example, the Ultra Fire,
Yeah, for sure.
each officer was in their own truck
Yeah.
with 3 or 4 firefighters each.
Mhm.
Going to a simple EMS call on Robinson Hill Road, sure, 2 lieutenants and then 2 firefighters in the back. But it's also 2 AM and it's a more straightforward situational awareness perspective.
There are also times where firefighters are responding not an officer in the truck itself.
Mhm.
So a senior firefighter may be in charge of a call,
Mhm.
and does not have that tablet available to them at home, right?
Yeah.
So if we chose to not have the tablets in the station, then essentially it eliminates their ability to have that connectivity that an officer would have. Which, if we need to make a re-delegation of where we would, if we need to decrease software, decrease licenses, decrease tablets, we'd have to really consider that operationally as part of where they would be going.
Awesome. Can I ask another one?
No, that's enough from you.
Sorry, that's- one last one, I swear. For self-service, availability, we utilize Nelnet too, since my husband is a police department, works in the police department. It does not help our self-service, so I'm curious what your guys' findings were, because if we talk about remote, like go rescue someone off a road, things like that, I know there's plenty of spaces on even just the roads that I don't have service, right? So if we don't have service and say we're in a spot like that, it doesn't give you guys any additional, like, support at that, right? Like, if there's no self-service, it doesn't provide you what you're hoping for, right?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Based on the testing that we did,
Yeah.
we found coverage in places we didn't expect.
For sure.
especially with some recent kind of infrastructure modifications that AT&T's made, in Golden as well as kind of up in the high country, there's a lot more coverage than we thought there was. Additionally, we were able to submit a request with FirstNet and AT&T then for, hey, maybe Guy Hill is a good location for a cell tower. There's already a repeater location up there, so it's been forwarded to the network engineering team at AT&T to consider just even densifying their network, as we are a darker spot on what is otherwise a very brightly illuminated map everywhere else. So we have confidence from testing that it'll meet operational needs. We're in the mountains, we know that it's not gonna be perfect, and as they say, every after action has some discussion of communication in it. We know that and understand that and are capable of mitigating those kind of factors as we operate.
I guess I was curious why, because T-Mobile has Starlink, which is very different. And I know it's not Nelnet or FirstNet where you get the priority, and especially in a large scale.
That's the difference.
Is that really,
T-Mobile's Starlink connectivity today is limited to text only.
okay,
It's not LTE full data backhaul,
yeah.
so it doesn't meet operational needs.
And at that point, we did have that discussion because of that, the further integration with Starlink. There's many additional costs that will come with that, especially when we talk about full data connectivity. And there are certain things around, hardware, all different kinds of things that were gonna come into play at that point. And while I do think that that was, potentially would have been a great option, it does not seem reliable at this point. And we're also we're moving away from the government band, and back to, and connectivity into something that is private, and is also maybe not as reliable, especially in a time of crisis.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, I think one of the first questions when we brought this up before was, like, if it doesn't work, what are we spending money on? Like, it has to actually work. Six will fit in the budget, does that work operationally?
Yes. 6 will work operationally.
Okay,
Then we can look at seeing if it is successful, then we can look at expanding.
Very good.
the other question I would ask is, we're locked in for 3 years with FirstNet. Is that a bad thing, is what I would ask, like, do we wanna have the ability to get out of a contract if something new or better comes up?
If we switch to a 2-year commitment, for example, the fee goes up to $8 a device. And then if we stay completely fee or commitment free, that's what we're paying the kind of fair market MSRP for the devices. Honestly, I'm not concerned. I think most of our agency partners around that have been using FirstNet have stayed with FirstNet. I know of 1 or 2 agencies that are trial testing T-Mobile, but are very, very reticent and like, we don't know what we're gonna get, and we don't necessarily think this is the best approach. We don't know of many people who've left FirstNet.
You're a tech guy, so that's another question I'm asking, is having a tablet for 3 years a good thing?
I think so. I think the Samsung A9 will work well enough for us for a long enough period of time. Yeah, ATAC uses a fair bit of horsepower, but it's not you're not editing photos, you're not editing video, you're not doing design and drafting, all the things that I know that need a lot of computer power. This is all relatively straightforward stuff that can run on still pretty old hardware if we needed to.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question? You were asking for 9?
Yes.
And you said you had the budget for 6?
6 will fit in the budget number that the finance committee came up with. We basically, in order to meet what I thought was required for this year's operations, I could only fit $4,500 in for Kotak, and I knew when we were doing that wasn't going to meet what Chief had originally asked for, so I'm just confirming, hey, that
Right.
doesn't work. But
But 6 is happy,
6 won't fit in the budget, and
and if there's not more for the budget, you always have auxiliary as backup, you can submit, the rest to the auxiliary and come up with your 9.
Even if it, I think the issue would be because it's a subscription.
Yeah.
So it would be a recurring payment.
You can submit all your little tactics you just talked about and let our board talk about it, but that's what we're here for you. Is to supplement what isn't in the budget. If the budget can do 6 and we need 9, you say you have yours, but what happens if for some reason you disappear one day and then we're out of the tablet? See what I'm saying? So it would be if they approve for 6,
Okay, well,
we can always submit to the auxiliary.
okay, what do we need to do?
Well, right now we need to conclude the chief's report and then move on to community organization reports, and then the request is, do you actually have that on here?
No,
Yes.
I'm not asking for this on the agenda.
Well, I would add it to the agenda to approve the funding request.
Okay, new business 5. Oh, I misnumbered that. Okay, it'd be 5.3.
Maybe just for, just a point of clarification, the budget requests, or funding requests are embedded into the chief's report.
Yes, but we can't vote on something if it's not in the section.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, we need an agenda item,
Yes. I mean, honestly, it doesn't really matter, but just for the purposes of making sure we're following the procedure.
Well, while we've all got the numbers in our head, maybe it would be a good idea to go ahead and vote on
Can we come back to the, well, we just have the, is it okay with the board if we go ahead and vote on this now ahead of other?
No, it wasn't posted earlier for expenditure, you have to do it next month. Your rules, not mine.
Where did I say that? What are you? talking
What
about?
did you say?
I said, it wasn't posted on the agenda, or you have.
We just added it to the agenda.
But it's an expenditure,
And
well, you gotta post it ahead of time.
it was posted ahead of time.
No,
Your inability to find something on the website doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
you know, I have to say something here too, it's not on this agenda, this expense. Your executive committee leaves us out.
Okay, so.
No, stop, stop.
One at a time.
Stop, Tiffy, you can't speak right now. Tiffy, I'm sorry.
One at a time.
Okay, I was speaking, he was talking.
Yes,
You interrupted.
wait, Nippy.
It's not on the agenda, this expense. I'm not saying I'm against it, but I'm saying it's not well advertised. The executive committee, you leave us out of everything. There's been no email sent, even though Nippy likes to say there was. But it doesn't send us the information. And then you go, you're not prepared, but we don't get the info. I don't get the info.
No, let's.
So it's not,
Move to the community.
the public doesn't know about it.
Who in this room has this?
I do, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Posted on the website.
But that's not accurate.
And I will add that I got an email 2 days ago from the chief, which was the March board report with all of the attachments, with all the.
But it's not on the agenda. The public doesn't know about it.
Yes, they do.
Yes, we did.
Okay, when you're the one in Nippy's spots.
No, for God's sake, come on, it's something.
Let's just go back to the agenda. Community reports will follow the agenda as listed and have this added to it as opposed to. I asked for a break in order. and
Okay.
We're not, that's not good.
We're not gonna get it
We're
there.
gonna continue with the chief's report.
Yeah, I think he's concluded.
Chief's report is clear.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Chief's report is concluded, thank you for that.
okay, oh, okay, yay. We're coming on to community organization reports,
Yay,
auxiliary.
Ramsey for the auxiliary. The auxiliary is recruiting for new members. So anybody online or in the audience, if you're interested, get in contact with us. We have a couple members, possibly moving. So we need to fill spots. We're already, September seems far away, but it's on our brain for the pig roast, September 20th. So we're already discussing that. And we're always open to request from the firefighters on things they need. And our next meeting is May 15th at 5 o'clock here at the Grange.
Grange, Terry?
Yeah, Terry Costello here. The Grange is, hosting this March 31st event for the, CWPP. I believe the chief mentioned it in his report. Hope to see all of you at this, input and workshop event. And we got the new lighting in the Grange in time for the event. And then April 19th, we have, I believe, was it Egg Mania? Yeah, Egg Mania here at the Grange, and that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Under old business, we have, approval to amend the budget for the audit up to 15,000. And we're also asking, this is Niffy's item, approval for the executive committee to enter a contract with the firm once one is selected. Niffy, you wanna?
I'll just make that motion, I move to include that expenditure. Basically, I'd like to have approval now so that I'm not taking time, we don't have to wait a whole month to come back. We are doing an audit, but it's not within the budgeted amount, so I'm asking for extra money and then to work through that. Should,
Ask a question.
please.
Once again, we have a two-person board taking over the five-person board.
I'm sorry, I made my motion, do we have a second?
So that's,
I'll second that, I'll second that motion.
discussion.
And I'd just like to say that the lowest bid we've gotten so far is $8,500, and that's why.
Who's that from?
This is information
It's in the
that's
last
been
meeting.
circulated and it's like,
So you can't answer a question.
no, I'm not gonna be.
Okay, fine.
It was in
Once
the-
again, the board is composed of Deb Curley and your old.
This.
You can hold all the papers up you want. You guys are taking over the board. It's fine.
You think so?
You
so?
I
said
do think
it
so.
wasn't posted. We discussed it at the
I
last
know.
meeting and you got it.
I'm not changing the subject. I asked you who gave the $8,500 bid. Can you say the name?
It's
Logan Thompson and Johnson LLC.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
that's your name.
There was also a bid for $10,000 to $12,000 from, and I don't have that one in front of me because I
It's
didn't
not
bring
fine.
it. From another company out on the plains,
Which is the reason for the.
which is the reason why we want some leeway on the amount that we are asking for tonight. So that if he turns out to be the best person, we can go with him.
And I second that motion.
Thank you.
And all, any other discussion of the motion?
Yeah, well, again, we talk to these people when he's bringing the budget, or bringing the bids to, we'd like to see the bids as well.
The entire, so what I said
You
was.
said you haven't got another bid.
You want me to answer why you can't see the bids? The point that I'm trying to make is I'd like to move quickly on these things.
Why is it
So I can
getting
send them out, and we can't have all of us review things
It's
unless
not
it's
your
at
board.
a public meeting.
Although you think.
That's why I'm asking for the authorization from the board.
I don't
Do you not
This is
understand
a
that?
board decision. It shouldn't be your
We're-
secret
Then
little
you-
executive.
I'm asking for
I
the
don't-
board's
I
permission.
don't know what the urgency is.
The urgency is that
We
the
know we
audit
got
has
to
to
do
be
an audit
complete.
this year, but I don't know why. it's-
The end of July is when you have to hand the audit in.
All right, we've got time.
It's March.
Yes, but they may not have time. These companies,
You should have been prepared.
these companies, several of them that I talked to are already fully booked. If we do not book someone within the next few weeks, I suspect that they'll be fully booked. We need to act on it fairly soon, or we're not gonna get an audit at all.
We'll get an audit.
By
Now,
who? You?
Val, did you have a question?
Me.
Okay, well,
Okay,
But
I've
the
got,
one on the plane looked pretty good.
I'm gonna call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Nay on this rough job.
I'm not in favor of letting two people run this board.
Two nays.
And that's the reason. There's two people are running this board, not five.
Yeah.
You can smile and shake your head. That's true.
How many just voted? Aye.
Like, that's here.
3 people.
Then later, Later, you'll be making decisions on your own. Out of the public.
Moving on, please. 4.2 is, under old business, credit card review. My understanding that we are compliant with the Cora request.
Yeah, we had to get, with Colorado Coalition.
You could have paid and gotten it yourself, Dave, same price.
We got their
We didn't want to-
lawyer to file the 14-day notice they're gonna be sued if they didn't give us what we wanted, and finally came through. So. We got it, we went over it, these credit card statements do not match what's listed on the internet.
I suggest that you submit specific items.
There, right there.
Because we can't look at them right now and see things.
We got it, after reading on the credit card statements, they don't match what you put on the internet to see, for the public to see. And there is a lot of discrepancy there. And there's a lot of spending, we need to see what you're spending all this money on.
Dave, when you're done, let me know.
Okay, go ahead and give your rules.
So I compared the credit card statements that after 8 months, we finally got. The Nifty debt hit them.
Okay,
And I compared them to the transaction lists that are supposed to be perfectly accurate. You know, those are posted on the web,
what month?
all the months for 2024. So somebody wants a couple copies of this, I have it here. They don't match at all. It doesn't mean something's wrong, but it does mean that I'm not making any accusations. But for example, in January, let me give you a total for the year. For 2024, there were $72,218 under credit cards. I only learned recently there's 6 credit cards out there. I thought there were 2, you only reported 2. But of the $72,218, there's only $27,781 of payments that are listed to credit cards on the transaction lists. And that's only in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months. The other 7 months have nothing paid to credit cards. Now, I don't know why there's this inconsistency. There is no consistency on the credit card payments and the transaction list. 7 months show no payments to credit cards, but 5 months do. How are the credit card payments being made in the missing months? They're being paid, but it's not exactly showing it. Possibly individual expenses from credit cards are broken out some of the months and they're listed separately, but other months they're not. In those months, they are paid in one lump sum. This inconsistency and lack of clarity on the transaction list is not in line with good bookkeeping. It is difficult, if not impossible, to understand what is being charged and what it is for. Charges are not explained or labeled adequately on the transaction list. And there are 6 different credit card users, 6 different people that the GGFPD taxpayer money is paying each month. These 5 points show very sloppy bookkeeping and opens the door to misuse of the credit cards and taxpayer funds.
Do you have copies of that?
I do. I'll give one to the board, everybody in the audience who wants some.
Steve, would you give it to the board? So
I'll give that one to you.
we will address it if
You want one?
more copies.
Mike, you can verify, I'm not an accountant, but I went through this. Would you get 2, please?
Yes. We need more for the board.
No, I know, I don't, thanks. Why are we arguing about an audit?
Because they're not, this is different.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
The audit comes in, and says, hey, things are right, maybe they're not.
Yep. Okay,
So why not an audit?
we're.
Why not expedite the audit? If
It's
you
been
really-
going on,
if you really
having your,
can.
it's been going on for 8 months.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible. It's
The
terrible.
credit card holders all have spending caps. Okay.
All of them.
That's all that, you do like one job?
Yeah.
Sir, I have one more. There's no point.
Okay. Okay.
Could have been handled easier if you just gave the other board members the information they asked for.
We'll discuss this at the next meeting.
We pulled teeth.
And we've had a chance to.
8 months of obfuscating. 8 months of obfuscating until legal got involved. And you spent $10,000 fighting us. We're very close to it.
Moving on to new business, 5.1 is a review of statistics of the Front Range chief salaries. This is Mr. Primer. And I have a copy of that, if you don't.
I have a bunch of copies. Who would like one? Yeah.
Dave, what did you want about this?
Oh, I just want you to be advised that the average, full-time paid chief on the Front Range is around 90,000 to 100,000 per year for full-time chief. And we've got our part-time chief for 80,000. And plus our budget is way low, a lot lower, and we're down to like the 300,000 mark, and we have but the Front Range here, most of them are $1 million and up. For their annual budget. So, it's been a big portion of our salary for one person.
Anything else?
He is doing a wonderful job, and glad he's keeping the morale and getting people to come in, so he is doing a wonderful job.
Okay.
So if you got the sheet sent out to you, this, the data that's presented insofar as the calls, revenue and salary information. That is from Mr. Green. The analysis that follows it is analysis that I did. When we talk about, there's a lot of conflation on what is a salary and what is compensation. So our chief's salary is $68,000 for 20 hours a week. What I did was I ran, I tossed out Aurora Fire Department because that's not germane to comparing to our chief, nor was Southern Park County Fire Department. So I kept the rest of the fire departments that were in there as a comparison. The link on the top is if anyone's worked in HR and you're putting together a benefits package, you don't just say, this is how much, I'm not just paying you $100,000 a year. I have a cost for your health insurance, your AD&D, all those different things that are associated with that. So it's a multiplier. I've seen things range from 1.4 to 1.5 to 1.6. They can go all over the place. So I just took one number and put a multiplier on there that was from, this is California Policy Center calculating public employee total comp. So when I ran the total comp using that methodology, the average that we had was $168,000 a year for total comp. That's what the district is paying to keep their fire chief employed. And for us, we are basically way lower than that. And so what I did was part of that was what we're going to be voting on is at least bring our chief up to the average for his work. I don't think our chief is average, but he's willing to do work for average pay.
How many hours do you work right now?
And I haven't finished speaking, so. The other things that are kind of there, so you'll see stuff that, we often hear stuff around, well, how many calls are we responding to? Calls don't, when you run the math, the number of calls is not statistically relevant to the salary. It has no Pearson value that shows that it correlates the number of calls. The total revenue doesn't correlate to how much you pay a chief. Those things, they don't mean anything when you're looking at how much do you pay a chief. It's a salary position and it's based on someone's expertise and the value that they're giving you. So it's not related to the number of calls, to the total revenue of the district. And what we found was that the standard deviation on the hourly wage was really low. It's like $7 versus when we look at the standard deviation on the total comp per call, it's all over the place. It's 215. It doesn't make any sense. It's not something that you can look at. So that's kind of how I looked at the data that we got from Steve in order to provide a justification for the chief's salary. So, thanks.
Any other discussion?
By the way, my data came from the Fire Chiefs Association.
I'm not, I said, did I ever dispute your data?
No, you said it was Steve Green's.
You provided it to the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything further on discussion on this?
I would like to answer Steve's question, he did ask how many hours a week do I work?
No, how many contract?
I'm contracted for 20 and frequently work more than.
I figured you did.
Yes,
I know.
we know we do.
20.
That was, that's it. 5.2 is approval. To increase the chief's compensation to the budgeted amount. Based on the performance review that we held at the executive, meeting last month. And backdate the pay to, January 1st. Nikki, this is your item.
Yeah, so I'm moving to, we have budgeted an increase in the chief's salary. He went his full first year and a half without a raise. We all are facing inflation and a lot of stuff here, so based on not just his performance, but how our district has been improved because of him and the impact that he's having on our firefighters, on morale in our community. His performance is exemplary, and I think we are not fully able to recognize that through compensation, but this is a token of that. We've budgeted $76,080 for 20 hours a week for
Your 10 minutes is all.
This is a different item on the agenda.
This is 5.2.
And the total cost for payroll, those budget is $84,797.98. That includes payroll taxes, the payroll company, what else is in there? FPPA, but it's basically, it's our contributions to his retirement, his match. And then there's, the salary as well, so that.
Your motion, I'll second the motion, discussion.
Yes, I think under the circumstances, we should take the 20-hour contract compensation out and just make it a full-time position at that money.
Anybody else?
I agree with Dave.
You're saying what, take the 20 hours out?
Yeah, just make it a full-time salary job. Don't put in the hourly thing. That way you don't, it covers the whole thing. It's a salary position, and you can work 40 hours, you can work 20 hours. If you get the job done in 20 hours, it doesn't matter.
That really doesn't accomplish anything. I mean, that becomes really irrelevant. I do have a question for the chief, if I could ask. When you were negotiating your current salary basis, did you, in your negotiation, did you agree to like displace any, at that time, current, third party work that was being done that was also budgeted out?
Correct. At that time, we looked at the budgeted amount for what was an admin assistant, which now is either done by myself or volunteer assistants. We also looked at extra pay or payments that were being made to an outside agency for training management.
Okay, so you took over additional budget money that was being put to a third party and took over those responsibilities. And I'm sure the board is aware of that, all the members of the board are aware of that.
And other things.
And can you kind of go into your participation in the grants, in the grant process and the grant applications that are both, you know, what has been brought in as well as what's in progress?
So grants are at this point a team effort with everyone or quite a few people within the district, mostly within the chief staff. The first few grants that we submitted after I became the fire chief here and accepted that position were written solely by myself. And then since then, we have brought on some more folks that have expertise in grants. Chief Enright, myself, Chief Brill are really kind of the core people who are reviewing and writing grants collectively. And then also making decisions on what we're moving forward with and what we go after in large grants.
Cool. And can you kind of explain to us as a community your role in the expansion of the fire department to its 30 member max? It's never been reached before.
So while I appreciate the flattery, that comes with people giving me credit, it's very much a team effort. There has been an extraordinary amount of time, effort, energy amongst the leadership team, and also from the ground firefighters to help us get to where we are right now. I appreciate the flattery that comes with the people's time, associating that with my arrival. Whether that is a coincidence or, of something of my doing, I am not going to comment on.
I'll comment on it.
But
It's not a coincidence. I'll comment on it.
Me too.
At that point, I do think that it has been a team effort, and there's been a lot of really great things that have happened since I've come to this district. I think we are looking from the inside and also trying to take a step out, looking from the outside from where we have been. I believe Chief Enright will probably be.
Who built the team?
I appreciate that, because you are very humble, and yet your leadership, in my personal opinion, does shine through. My question today, since you brought this motion.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. You brought the discussion on the thing. Well, would y'all agree that this community of electors and resident citizens of this fire district deserve a fire chief of this capacity? That's what,
There's a lot more to that question.
that's a yes or no question.
I can't.
Would
answer
you
that
agree,
question.
yes or no?
No, I can't answer that question. There's so much more to it than that.
As a board member, you can't answer that question.
No, there's much more to it.
The yes or no question.
There's more to it than that.
All right,
Okay, we have a
Want to know the
motion.
backstory or not?
I'm gonna
Thank you
call the
very much.
motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Motion passes.
I'd like, there is a public comment regarding or I'll read during public comment, my apologies.
Do you want me to read it?
There's something online, I'll read during public comment.
Okay. All right.
We move on to the next item. 5.3, we added approve the budget request. This would be the budget request for the new technology. The Mr. Enright, Assistant Chief Enright.
I would move to, adopt the chief staff's, request for funding at 6 tablets. And does that reduce the cost for the CAD as well?
It will, it's 120 each on an annual basis, so it'll come down by about $280.
Okay, so just as requested for 6 tablets.
Is that your motion?
Just,
Does it require two different motions for the two different packages?
I'm supporting both of them.
Oh.
Okay. We have a second,
I'll second that.
okay, discussion.
Since we were not informed, it's not. You can laugh all you want. It's
I'm gonna call the
So,
motion.
Dad, are you gonna interrupt me? Can I thought you said
Yes, yes,
discussion.
go ahead. What is your?
Do you want us to talk over me? So the discussion is, you have this little executive committee to discuss things in. It wasn't.
Say that again, Steve.
Conversation.
Your discussion on the motion,
It's not on the agenda.
it is.
And whatever email you say you sent me, you did not send me. And you could have posted it somewhere on the website. Who would have ever
It's
known?
all on the website.
Oh, well, who would have ever known that? You never informed anybody of it.
Okay,
Well, you might be sharing with these guys.
yeah, okay.
I have a discussion.
Very nice.
Okay, Meredith is speaking.
I will just say that, no, you're correct. It was not on the agenda, except that it was under the chief's report. And the chief's report is always posted ahead of the meeting. And he sent an email with his chief's report and all the attachments to justify to explain the bids and the operation of the equipment in emails addressed to the board.
Not to
I
me.
cannot say who is listed under the board because those specific names were not listed, but I received it.
And expenses being should have been broken out.
Excuse me?
An expense this large should have been broken out. Separate. It's all right, go for
Do
it.
you know what was budgeted for?
Budget. Okay. No, I'm calling the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Nay.
I abstain from lack of information.
abstain. Okay.
What are you voting then?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Three, it's 1 day and an abstention. Public comment,
I'll leave the online public comment.
and you have something, chief?
Online public comment. For Mr. Prue, chief is underpaid for what he has done for the district. I suggest another raise.
Walk away from that.
Anything else? Anyone else, public comment, John?
When the chief was hired at the lower salary in the 30,000 range, and the decision was made to up his salary, one of the contingencies was his ability to raise grant money. Today, we just heard 30,000.
20,000.
20,000 additive to the 200,000 that's already been accumulated, whether it's directly by him or under his leadership. His net addition in compensation to this board is a small fraction of the net worth that he has brought in to add to our budget. The failure to recognize that is inexcusable, and to claim that it is being overpaid makes no sense.
There's no failure to recognize.
Public comment, sir, public
Through
comment,
my
or not
public
public, the question was not asked of you.
Yes, Mr. Nizzi.
I can't respond. Anybody else, public comment? Next regular board meeting is April 24th, right here. 7 o'clock. I'm sorry, Paul.
I'm sorry, could you tell me what the board is doing to rectify the transaction compared to credit card?
Sir, we have to look at it, we haven't seen it.
This is not, I didn't wanna discuss this earlier, because there's no point in trying to speak to someone who, when you give them the truth, looks at it and lies about it all the
I'm not
time.
lying about it.
There's no validity to saying that our transaction list doesn't match our credit cards, because QuickBooks pulls our credit card statements directly into it. It pulls our checking statements directly into it. It is not possible.
I will
on a
share
monthly
credit card
basis
statements.
for these numbers not to match. We have a professional accountant that rectifies our books on a monthly basis. This is a licensed professional accountant. They match.
I will
It's not
share the credit
possible
card
for them
statements.
not to match.
I'll email.
And I've been trying just to ignore this because it's a waste of the community's time and it's misdirection for somebody who's incompetent and likes to stir up trouble amongst their neighbors. But I just want us to move on, and I'm happy to work
Coming from the January
to give
16th.
you the credit cards statements as they've been requested in court. We can walk through them. Our transaction list has always shown more information than you get on a credit card statement, and it's far more detailed than what we've had in
I
the.
challenge you to prove that.
Can't prove a negative, sir.
You can't prove it.
The audit itself will establish the true baseline. So I appreciate the 3 board members that did vote for the audit, thank you. The audit will establish, that is the purpose of an audit, is to establish the truth and to disclose any
I
discrepancies.
didn't vote against it all. Don't mistake me. I voted against 2 people making the decision.
I didn't adjourn. I said, thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.